Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a bit different. We are deconstructing a deeply personal, totally raw audio diary. Imagine finding out that your life, your marriage of 30 years, has been a complete deception. That's exactly what the author of our source material is navigating right now, currently in her third month of this devastating realization. But instead of looking at this from some sterile, clinical outside perspective, we're going to look strictly at how she actively processes her trauma in real time. By mapping out her thoughts, we can actually extract this incredibly powerful universal blueprint for surviving emotional devastation. These are real tools you can apply to literally any overwhelming life event.
Now, she uses this fascinating term to describe her daily practice, the neuroroutine. Basically, it's her version of self-therapy. Instead of just letting her thoughts spin out endlessly and silently in her head, you know how that goes, she uses a spoken-aloud stream of consciousness as a deliberate exercise. So it's not just venting, right? It's an active mental processing tool. By literally speaking her thoughts out loud, she creates a tangible record of her mental state. It lets her step back, observe her own mind, and really begin to untangle the sheer chaos of this life-altering shock. To see how she does this, we start by anchoring all this abstract emotional pain in a really relatable, physical reality. She actually notes in her diary, "I did one very terrible everyday household thing without realizing it. It's like a warning from above." I mean, have you ever been so stressed or overwhelmed that you just completely blanked out on a basic chore? She describes this frightening moment of complete dissociation where her brain was just so consumed by analyzing her husband's deception that she completely lost track of reality. It shows us exactly how profound trauma doesn't just stay neatly tucked away in the mind. It violently disrupts the absolute simplest, most automated tasks. For her, this scary lapse wasn't just an oops moment. It was a blaring warning sign from above that she was hitting her breaking point.
Which brings us to phase 1, the physical toll. You see, before the mind can even begin to heal, you have to understand how the body physically reacts to a paradigm-shattering emotional shock. After discovering this 30-year lie, her body basically screams in protest. She describes having multi-day migraines and just an absolute loss of focus. And what's incredibly telling here is that she takes painkillers for days on end, but they literally do nothing. They are useless because the root cause isn't physical at all. It's a massive energetic and emotional drain. The very home she built has become toxic, and her body is sounding the alarm, physically forcing her to realize she just cannot sustain this level of stress.
So, once the body says enough, we enter phase 2, breaking the illusion.
Her mind has to figure out a way to mentally separate from the toxicity, which is wild because she's still physically sharing the same house with him. To survive, she brilliantly creates this stark contrast. On one side, she clearly defines her husband's state, living in a deceptive game, acting in a theater. She notes his brain is entirely focused on playing a role, which is just absurd to her. On the flip side, she actively chooses her own desired state, living happily in authentic love, positivity, and goodness. By sharply contrasting his theatrical lies with her need for authenticity, she draws a hard mental boundary. She's essentially saying, "I am no longer participating in your play."
But let's be real. Just drawing a mental boundary isn't always enough when the anxiety hits hard. Instead of passively sitting with the pain, she uses a highly actionable physical release. It goes like this. Step 1, raise your hand. Step 2, drop it with force. Step 3, say, "To hell with it all." When agonizing thoughts threaten to take over, she literally and physically drops the burden. It's such a great mechanism to forcefully break the cycle of overanalyzing a situation she ultimately cannot control. It's a tangible way to just throw off that emotional weight.
Building on that, the absolutely crucial point is how she trains her brain with repetition. Her core mantra is simply, "Return to yourself." And she repeats this constantly. She explicitly states she trained her brain to use this phrase as an auditory anchor. So whenever she feels her focus drifting back to her husband and his lies, this mantra just yanks her back. It's a deliberate, conscious command to refocus her energy inward, stop the emotional bleeding, and center herself back in her own reality.
Next up is phase 3, the practice of radical gratitude.
Now, what's really interesting here is how she pivots from raw pain to a deliberate survival tactic. And listen, this isn't your standard toxic positivity kind of gratitude. It's a calculated, structural defense mechanism against total despair. She rapidly piles on moments of profound gratitude to actively overwhelm the negative, energy-draining environment she's stuck in. She says she's grateful for the passing migraine, grateful for herself, for her daughter, and, incredibly, even grateful for the journey itself. She views these painful events as things in the past, accepting that this excruciating path is exactly the one she needs to be on right now.
By vocalizing deep gratitude for absolutely everything, she literally starves the trauma of its power over her mindset. Through this relentless practice, she reaches a massive milestone. She genuinely wishes the deceiver health and happiness. She literally says, let him be healthy, happy, do whatever he wants. Now don't get it twisted, this isn't necessarily about forgiveness. It's pure self-preservation. She realizes that holding on to anger and analyzing his life just keeps her tethered to him. By genuinely wishing him well and releasing him to the universe, she entirely reclaims her own mental energy. She is flat out refusing to spend another ounce of her life force thinking about someone else's life.
And that brings us to our final phase. Phase 4, the search for a new path. Having processed the physical toll and broken the illusion, she's now standing at the edge of the void, facing the absolute unknown of her future. She starts actively seeking a new activity, an interest, or a supplemental income source to help break free from her environment. She knows with 100% certainty that forward movement is what will transform her life. She is totally open, totally ready for anything, explicitly asking the universe for a hint, a reason, or just a direction to pour all this newly reclaimed energy into.
Yet, despite the crazy intense uncertainty of not knowing what that next step actually is, she maintains this radical acceptance. She says, everything has its time. I am feeling my way and waiting for myself to find it. She knows the answer is out there. She hasn't fully grasped it yet, sure, but she refuses to panic. She just trusts that the right path will reveal itself exactly when it's supposed to, giving herself the grace to basically feel her way through the dark until she bumps into it.
We're going to leave you with this haunting, open-ended question she repeatedly asks the universe. Where do I move? It's a raw, highly vulnerable plea for direction, but think about it. It's also deeply empowering because it implies that movement is absolutely going to happen. It's a universal echo for anyone standing at the precipice of a completely new life, having finally shed the illusions of the past. When everything you knew for 30 years turns out to be a theater, and you finally step off the stage, where do you move next? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. I really encourage you to think about how you might use your own neuro routine the next time you need to find your way.